Hello and welcome to Uncomfortable, the bonus content on the Rute Chakonta channel. So we hope and trust that you enjoy it, and even as you listen to it, you are encouraged and hope it brings conversation as we try to address these situations from a biblical perspective of the things that are going on in society. Hello and welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable TBC. And today I've got my first guest on Uncomfortable TBC. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
I'm waiting to be introduced. See what he says.
You Rute Chakonta. Somehow we're related. I don't know.
That's what I was waiting to hear. How I get introduced. I get introduced by my name. I'm your wife.
Okay. Yeah, Rute is my wife, Mrs. Chakonta. So
I change. As of today, I don't think you have a wife anymore.
So she's my first guest, and thank you for taking the time to join me on this podcast of Uncomfortable TBC. How does it feel being the first guest?
I had to be the first. Who else was going to be the
first? And lots of people lining up to come. You know that?
Okay. Do you live with them? Do they cook your food?
Okay. Yeah. So what do you want us to talk about? What are you uncomfortable about?
Many things.
Yeah, now tell us one thing you're uncomfortable about.
I think today you said we wanted to talk about our uncomfortability with our lovely nation. But just some of our experiences with some places we've been to in Zambia where the customer service has just been, can't find the word for it, but it's enough that we wanted to talk about it.
Okay. I think some people will think maybe I bash Zambia a lot. Do you think that so?
No, not really. But when it comes to customer service, I think it's very evidently quite widely. It's not everywhere, definitely not everywhere, but it's something that I see and I've experienced very often, that it's not great.
Yeah, I've also noticed that, to be honest. I feel like Zambian customer service is something where people need to just sit down and improve. It's something that we need to have a conversation about. The customer service is bad and people need to really there needs to be a committee that comes and basically say, how do we improve this? Because it's off-putting.
It definitely is. I think it certainly is. The level of, it just makes me feel angry, disrespected. And I don't think the person realizes. And then when you do go to certain places where there are great customer service, you're just like, wow, this is amazing. But it should just be a blanket kind of, it's good. Yes, you have places which are better, great, or maybe not as good, but actually your definition of bad for some places is correct.
Okay. Give us an example of when you had bad customer service in Zambia.
Bad. Number of times. Which one?
There was one you told me about ShopRite.
Recently.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Recently. Okay, that one. Oh, yeah, that one was bad because it's like, when you've got those things that really irritate you. So I went to ShopRite and, you have to give, if you've got a bag or whatever, you have to give to the person. I don't know what you guys call it, but you can't go in the shop with it. So there was a window and there was a lady there and I had a suitcase and I had Hungry Lion I had leftover Hungry Lion.
Yeah. Yep.
And so there was a lady in front of me and the window where I have to go, but on her right, my left, there was another lady there who she was communicating with, and this lady had bags. So I stood back waiting for this lady to be served.
Yeah.
And then I'm just waiting there, just taking my time. I don't know what they were talking about, but I was just not paying attention. But I stood close enough. And then a gentleman comes with his hand, his hand almost kind of brushes my shoulder on my right side.
Yeah.
And hands in whatever that he had towards to the lady and comes, because I'm going ahead in front, and then so he comes to my right, so goes in front, hands her something, then she gives him a number. So then I realized that, oh, maybe, this lady, the way she's positioned in on the side view, she's just there, maybe they're just having a chat and she's not a customer. Well, not like, you know what I mean, she's not handing in her goods. So then I just look, when something just happens and you're just like, what? Anyway, before I had time to breathe or think, another gentleman comes and does exactly the same thing. But this time I'm just like, excuse me, so you didn't see? Like, I was like, and anyway, he did it so quickly, he left. So I was like, excuse me, you didn't see that I'm standing here? Anyway, he'd gone. And honestly, again, like, because they're all like now queuing up, she now, oh no, I think I've got it wrong. It happened once, and then I said, oh, excuse me, you didn't see, and he went. And then the second time, she now does it again, and this gentleman comes and hands in something, and she hands it over to him, the card. So not only now, I turn to the gentleman, I'm like, I'm in the queue, you can't see me. And then I turn to her, I'm like, you can see that I'm standing in front and I've just complained about the previous gentleman, and yet you're doing the same thing and giving this guy a number. She's like, well, you didn't give me anything. I'm like, I'm in front of you and you were talking to someone. If you knew that you were not attending to this lady, but you're due to attend to me, she said, excuse me, how can I help? Anyway, we now start off, a bit odd. So now what happens? I lift up I put my hungry lion there first. And then I can't remember which one I put first. I picked up first. So I think I put my hungry lion first. That was lighter. Then I had a lighter suitcase. And then I'm picking up my suitcase and she's just staring. And then I'm like, okay. And we're both kind of like looking at each other. I'm like, so why are you not getting the hungry lion? And then I give her the suitcase. She takes the suitcase. And then she's like, anyway, but then I don't even remember how the conversation kept going. She's like, well, anyway, you didn't say anything. Oh no, then her argument was, you didn't say anything and we don't take food. And I'm like, clearly I don't know. So I don't live in Zambia, and I did not know that they don't take food unless maybe it's in a plastic bag.
But
it's like, well, she should have told me.
Yeah, communicate.
She has told me, I'm sorry, lady. I'm sorry, we don't take food. We just see. You're now starting me. I said it. I'm sorry, lady. We don't take food. So she took my suitcase, and then she was like, and this is after us going back and forth. She was like, I don't argue with customers.
So she told you?
Yeah. I was like, so what are you doing? And honestly, I would like to say I don't argue with people, and I just generally don't. I'm not a confrontational person, so I would rather let something go. But this is one thing that I really struggle to let go, but I do try. So I'm just like, what do you mean you don't argue with customers? You're arguing with me right now. We're going back and forth. And I just felt like that was really bad because first of all, I stood in front of her. I respected the fact that she was communicating with someone else and I was behind. And therefore, if she knew she was not serving that person, I'm the next person. So she said, excuse me, what do you have? I give it to her, right? Now, she was there when the gentleman, came across and gave her something, and I complained and was like, can you not see? Now then, the same thing, I'm like, but you've seen that I'm in front. I've just complained about the person before. Why didn't you just say, excuse me, do you have anything? Yet you now continue to enable this behavior of people going in front of other people. And then she now expects me, just because I look Zambian and I am Zambian anyway, to know that you don't give food.
Welcome to Zambia. Beautiful Zambia.
I didn't know, but it's for you to tell me. Like, I don't have to look foreign for you to be able to communicate and say,
this is what we do.
This is what we do. You can't take food in. We don't take food. You can go with food inside.
Yeah. You know what? I'll try to think of it and say maybe it's just a one-off, but I've seen other events in Zambia where I basically say this is a cultural situation.
Yeah.
Where the customer service has just been bad and horrible to the point of where you just say this is something that people feel they're enabled to do that. And there are no repercussions of their behavior. I think there was another time where, like, sometimes when they were trying to close a store, like, was it 30 minutes before?
Oh, yes. It said 5:30 and we walked in at 5:00 and they were like, sorry, we can't serve you.
Yeah, I'm just like, what do you mean by that? And I'm just like, it says 5:30. So, like, no, we have to take stock count for 30 minutes. I'm just like, it's not put on the.
Yeah, then you should.
Yeah, you should have communicated that. And then it ends up like we're being rude, but we're basically saying, look, you need to communicate properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not communicating properly, it will bring frustrations towards your customers.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't have this attitude of putting the customer first.
Nope.
To the point of where sometimes we, in fact, us as customers have tried to even enable them because we know they're not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
We are the ones who have to change. But by doing that, it brings a level of complacency. Is that a word? Complacency that is not healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because one day there'll be another company that will come that has especially foreign companies. They'll come, they'll train their staff on what customer service is, and to the point of they'll start losing business. Because they'll just because of customer service, people will start going there, and they will feel like they're being treated right.
Definitely. I think there's two things there. You know what I thought you were about to say?
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say, if a foreigner walked in, do you think they would treat them the same?
I don't think so sometimes.
Yeah, I actually don't think so.
But I think
that's another topic.
That's another topic.
I actually don't think so.
Yeah. But let's look at this from another perspective. As believers, with this situation about customer service, how do we take it in a way that we understand? Maybe is there a level of graciousness that we need to have, or is there a level? How do we speak into something like saying, okay, I'm gracious today because maybe that somebody has had a bad day, but how do we also speak truth into the situation and saying, you know what, look, you're being paid to do work, your work properly. When can we be blunt about that?
I think there's two elements to that. I think one, which was the first point, and then I'll answer is that I think people, like sometimes people or the workers don't realize that is where their money is coming from. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes people, if it's like commission, maybe they're nicer. But when you're getting a salary, it's like, it doesn't matter what I do, but not realizing that this is how my boss is making the money. And by me being nice to these people, I'm getting this business is ongoing. I feel like it's looking at saying, well, it's not my job. Like, it doesn't, if I close at 5:00 or at 5:30, if I serve this customer or not, I'm still getting paid. I feel like if that's the attitude, then that's the attitude where you're missing that element which you're about to say, which, is commanded of us by the word of God to serve, to work with all of our hearts wherever we go. So I feel like
what if they're not believers? Is another thing.
That's true. Then that's more on the worker, I guess, and there's nothing more you can do.
But the other problem is we tend to want to portray ourselves as a Christian nation. So don't you think these values should be basically?
Yeah, but it's not everybody. We might be a Christian nation, but it's not everyone in Zambia who's a Christian. But
work ethic.
Well, work ethic is you as an individual. So I feel like work ethic is you. So when you go, some people are just like, well, as long as I can do the bare minimum, I'm still getting the money at the end of the day. Some people are like, I will do my best for my job, my boss, whether my boss is there or not. Some people, you will see the difference when the boss is in the office and when the boss is not in the office. So I feel like, yes, as a nation, that is something that we should in terms of our work ethic. If we're saying we're a Christian nation, then there are many elements of our work, our lives that we need to try our best to embody and to teach. But at the end of it, I think this customer service thing, I think it's at an individual level and then at the culture. Because if it's okay for someone to come in front, like I'm paying for something and someone just stretches out their hand in front of me, but in the queue, then that's just then we've all said it's okay. No one says anything. Everyone's quiet. The cashier has taken the money. The person in front who you've jumped over says nothing, then it's just going to become a normal culture. If you're tall enough and your hand can stretch, then people like me who are short and as a result have shorter hands, then we're going to suffer. So I feel like it's something that's the norm. And also I feel like because maybe we spend a lot of time in areas where people just don't do that. Like here, people don't do that. You are in the queue. The minute you jump the queue, the whole queue is going to be looking at you like, why did you jump? We're always trying to find reasons to why we jumped the queue. Oh, I was there before. And you actually have to ask someone to be like, oh, please, can you keep my spot? I just forgot to get some sugar. I'm coming back. Like you literally have to, like we take it seriously, all of us in that queue. Whereas if you're at home and not everybody's taking it seriously, it's fine. No one, and the funny thing is they're not bothered. We're the ones who are bothered because
I know.
we're not used to that.
Yeah.
So you don't see them complaining because they're like, it's fine. But and as a result, they're not losing those customers. Maybe they're losing us who find that quite rude and I find that very disrespectful. I'm like, so you think me just standing here was just for show so that you can come in front? I don't even say excuse me. So as Christians, back to your point, as Christians, I think there are two elements. One is if you're a worker, like I said, you need to be doing your work to the best of your ability, to the glory of God where you are. Now, if if you don't recognize that, taking the money and you're just taking money, whatever money in order comes, I don't think you're doing anything wrong unless that's not what you've been taught by your boss. If your boss just says, this is how you do it. When the money comes, you take the orders. That's it. Unless if they tell you, oh, you're supposed to be doing it according to the next person, and therefore you're not actually doing your job properly by just getting the money anyhow and making customers angry. And as me, the other side, I have to also recognize that this is the norm for most places in that I've been to in Zambia. It might not be the norm for everywhere, but this is the norm. Like, I'm angry, but like I said, everybody else is fine. Nobody's stressing about someone jumping the queue. And so I need to take a step back and realize this is a culture I've come into, and I don't need to now start throwing tantrums and arguing and, all of that, arguing with these ladies. But there are times where I can respectfully say it. And I feel like that day, I usually keep quiet, but that day I respectfully said it. And I said, look, I was standing in the queue. Okay, to the first guy, I did not respectfully say it because I was just like, so you don't see me? But the other person, I was like, I'm in the queue. And the way I spoke to the lady, I was like, I am in the queue. So I think that was respectful. But then after a few minutes of her going back and forth, my voice did increase in, volume and amplitude. So that element of things wasn't a very Christian-y
way to do it, yeah. Okay.
So yes, we do have a job to do as Christians. I don't think just because someone's doing something you don't like doesn't mean we should speak to them anyhow. And we should also need to have a level of patience and understanding.
But what about challenging bad behavior?
I don't think that's what I said. Like, it's easy for you to say it's bad behavior because that's not what you're accustomed to. But actually, everybody else thinks it's normal.
It's normal behavior. Okay, I get you. Yeah.
Then it doesn't. I think it's understanding that it's a cultural practice rather than bad behavior, because I don't think people do it intentionally to be mean. They're just like, oh, if I can stretch my hand out there. I don't think people do it with their heart to want to cause you anger or to cause disruption. If anything, people are surprised if you speak up.
Okay. So Zambia customer service. We've got a complaint for you.
You should hire me for your workers.
Yes.
I think workers should have a customer service. You should hire me. I'll come and sort them out.
So any final remarks you can tell them, maybe even Nyanja?
No, I think just respect. A queue is a queue. Otherwise, people shouldn't be queuing. Like, there's no point. If you can just go, you should just go. What's the point of having a queue if you're going to skip the queue? And if you go and skip the queue, be respectful and say, excuse me, can I please skip the queue? But the funny thing is, when you're skipping the queue, you have to ask everybody who is in front of you, not just the one person in front of you. You have a duty to tell everyone who is in front of you, say, can I skip? Can I skip? Otherwise, just stay behind.
Okay. So thank you for your rant about customer service in Zambia. And we hope that the ones who are listening, if you are in the customer service, the what's that called, market, maybe you can take this and hopefully you can improve, because this is something that can be very concerning. So until next time, we hope that you guys have listened to our thoughts on this. And I think even for Christians especially, if you have been put in such a position, maybe also consider how your conduct towards either customers, or if you're in a customer yourself, how you can use your interactions with certain people to the glory of God, because these are also opportunities that sometimes we may never see. And hopefully we can try to use them to the best of our ability. But customer service in Zambia, it needs to improve.
Yes.
And okay. So until next time, guys, thank you for taking your time to listen to Uncomfortable TBC. Thank you, and thank you for our first guest.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. Hopefully you come again.
Thank you.
I think everyone will be wanting to have these Rute rants.
No, it is well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.